Okay, it's been a while. So much so that my mics are all kind of out of place and everything. Just give me a wee second. And yeah, beautiful heading. I'm going to do a long form type video, and I might chop some bits and pieces out of it. What you just saw there was a new toy. Well, it's not really a toy. I mean, because I don't know, professional musicians allowed toys. Of course, they're allowed toys. I got this X3 just on Monday from Phil Parker's in London. It was a second-hand instrument they'd had up for sale for not too long. I've been keeping my eye out for them since checking out some of the X3s when I was down in London at the beginning of the year. And really, I hadn't been comfortable with my B1 for a while, which is still here. Okay, I still have a fantastic horn. I've used this horn since around about 2018, and it's a fantastic instrument. I think where we are just now, where I am just now, is just that. Yeah, these guys, this here, settling down, changing, sorting itself out, etc., etc. And really, where, where I wanted to get to with this setup, my setup is, I don't know, the next stage of my playing. Anyway, so this video is not just going to be about me buying an X3 trumpet. It's kind of the end of the year. If you are watching this not long after it posted or is shared, then it might be Christmas already. It might be the new year. I'm not entirely sure. Today is Friday 20th of December 2024, and we are not far off Christmas and the festive season and 2025 and New Year and Hogmanay and all that type of stuff. So I figured it's been a little while since I've made an actual video. I thought I would just get one done. So we're here just now. And where are we? What's happened? Oh dear. It's been quite a year. Since August, there's been a lot of stuff going on. I made a short video just recently, kind of a channel update video as to what was going on. And along with teaching and gigs, it's been very busy, hence why I haven't been able to have the time or energy to make many videos. One of the things that's still on the cards that I want to do is I would like to make a review on Scott Belk's video. Sorry, not Scott Belk's video, Scott Belk's study book. It's absolutely fantastic. It's sitting on the stand over there just now. It really is an important step, I think, on the next part of my playing in terms of like refinement, efficiency, and all that type of stuff that we aim to be as trumpet players. So let's finish off this chat about the X3. Right, so we'll jump onto the B1 just recently. I've just managed to warm up. I'll switch the other mic on as well. So the other mic here is just an SM58 type guy. You know me, never ashamed of actually cracking a few notes. Anyway, so yeah, I've been on this trumpet for where I think 2018 was when I got it. So 2024 now. Yeah, a good 6 years. It's been on recordings, numerous gigs. I think it's been on TV and radio. Yeah, it's an absolutely fantastic sound off of it. It's so focused. It's so brilliant as well. It really kind of captures a nice fizz in my sound. Why step away from it? There's a weird thing happening with my playing, and the self-diagnosis that I encourage all of you and all of us to try and explore and really get familiar with. The self-diagnosis that we should have a think about in our playing when we're practicing and performing as well, although try and think about the music when you're performing. Don't really worry too much about playing trumpet unless it's going really, really, really wrong. The self-diagnosis in terms of where I'm feeling with this instrument this is strange. It feels like it's projecting too much. So the self-diagnosis in that, for me, makes me think that I'm blowing too hard. When when we as brass players, I feel, blow really, really hard is because we're trying to hear ourselves. The efficient part of that is that when we don't blow too hard, our sound is naturally around us. Now that sounds a little bit maybe contradictory or confusing, but the best example I can give is like if you're lucky or unlucky enough to work in a street band type environment, or it might be a really loud orchestra with a lot of brass, or maybe in a traditional brass band context. I'm thinking about more specifically acoustic environments here where we're not having to worry about in-ears and microphones and backlines, etc. If you play with the correct sound concept and you're not overly blowing, then you should be able to hear yourself in that environment. There's times where that's impossible. I understand that as well. But having the confidence in the fact that what you're creating here, the energy you're transmission into your instrument, is doing the job. The trumpet's sending everything it has to out there, and then what we hear back is enough. When we get really, really tired in those situations and we're not listening to ourselves properly and we blow really, really, really hard to hear ourselves, then you're playing inefficiently. You're creating a lot of energy right here in your face, and the instrument is creating a lot of energy, and you're hearing more of that as well. But you're blowing the instrument in such a way where it's really vibrating, probably inefficiently, so much so that you can hear yourself, but you're knackered after about, I don't know, 10-15 minutes, maybe half an hour. When we're playing in that efficient type area and we've got a good sound concept, the instrument is still chucking all that noise forwards, sound forward that it has to do, but you're getting enough back. The diagnosis that I'm feeling with myself is that even when I'm playing with a considered amount of energy, that the instrument is working the way it should. I'm not hearing myself in that. It really just sounds as though I'm playing with like either earplugs in, or it's like a really, really bad acoustic in a room. That's maybe another way to describe it as well. How do I know maybe that I'm not overblowing, or how am I convinced that maybe it is the instrument that's, I don't know, maybe not working for me the way it should? I use AR resonance mouthpieces, and I have done now for around about, I want to say 4 or 5 years, maybe about 4 years. I can't quite remember exactly. Maybe 5 years, or maybe just before. I think it is actually just before COVID and everything, because I remember using these mouthpieces when I was out in the States with Chili Pipers. So on these mouthpieces, on most of AR's setup, incidentally, if you've not tried Antonio's equipment, give it a go. He's really, really accommodating. There's a lot of good options out there as well. Yeah, they are a little bit more boutique-y. I'm not sponsored by him by any means, but I think it's a nice option to a lot of the standard options that are out there. Anyway, back to the self-diagnosis. This instrument here, for me, is particularly sensitive to mouthpieces, so much so that it's taken me a while to really, really settle on the most efficient setup for me. When I go over to my large Strad that you see me do the project on, it's got an entirely different setup on it. Well, not an entirely different setup, but an important setup. And that important difference is the back bores. Now, on the B1, I've had to go to what is essentially my large back bore. I've currently got the medium back bore on here because I'm still dialing in the X3. Now, in terms of the self-diagnosis, and this is relevant if you're a trumpet player and you're messing around with gear, these are things that you can think about in your playing. Maybe not so if you're a beginner or an amateur, but they are relevant in terms of how I think we relate to the music and the sound that we ultimately want to create with our instruments. So when I first went to the B1, it was actually on the same size cup, MS lead, which is around about somewhere between a Bach 5-7 rim, if you want to think about that. It's around about a GR 64, 65 type thing, and a rounder rim with a kind of standard lead cup setup. So relatively shallow, and I use a 42 throat, which is a little bit freer blowing. So on the Schilke B1, I actually used the medium back bore for quite a while, and that's actually what I've got on just now. I'll maybe do a little comparison very, very quickly about the back bores and the sounds and the comfort, etc. What I was finding on the medium the back bore was that the upper parts of the register, whilst brilliant and secure, it felt to me that no matter how much I laid back, pulled back, didn't chuck air through the instrument, I was losing just that little bit of confidence and that little bit of press on the instrument in terms of like helping the instrument find the upper register along with my embouchure and everything else. That was kind of like it was choking off at a certain register. That point where I would really have to work out, like go full on compression and back to get anything above an F to really be usable. And to me, that felt as though I was going well beyond that 50, 60, maybe 70% that we want to use as lead players. So what I'm going to do is now I'm just going to play 2 octaves. I've not done a lot of playing yet today. Play 2 octaves and I'll take this instrument up to somewhere around about an F or a G, and we'll see where it goes. And this will be on the medium back bore. What I'll do is I'll just get my large back bore as well. I think I've got the S with me too, and we'll do a quick comparison and all that type of stuff. Incidentally, so this is on the medium back bore with the my standard lead cup. Okay. Okay, no excuses. But that's the way it is. I've actually not used the B1 for a few days since I've been trying to get into the X3. Okay, so this is on the large back bore now. Slight tonal difference as well. So I didn't do anything different there at all, apart from change a bit of equipment. I'm not saying that equipment makes us or helps us play higher. It can certainly facilitate us through, again, self-diagnosis and everything, to work out how to play higher and find out what we've got to do. The feeling that I have when I use the larger, more freeing back bore is it actually frees up the resistance of my chops. I feel as though the M back bore creates too much compression here and it over compresses the embouchure in such a way that I find it hard to really allow the central aperture to be open enough to receive the energy that I'm transmitting from the compression. So just for comparison's sake, I'm actually going to jump onto the S back bore, which is the tightest. Okay, so I mean, you can get up there on the S again, and that tighter back bore does help the airstream just find that little bit of energy and speed, but it's flat. And it really kind of feels as though I'm trying to squeeze myself into a pair of tight shoes. So, if I jump over onto the X3 now, we'll go exact same. We'll go medium, large, small. Oh, it's freezing. Incidentally, my studio is an ice box again. So this is the medium. This is the large. And this is the S. Okay, so there's not a lot of difference. To be fair, on that first run with the medium one again, let's try that. On the medium backboards, maybe a little bit cold, going up to the top G on the B1. But what's really hard to convey, I think, as any trumpet player will agree, let's just do the medium one. What any trumpet player will find hard to convey, and they can really only, I suppose, demonstrate it by how well they perform in the gig, or how easy it is to get at the end of a hard gig, is all of those tiny nuances add up. And I think it's an important gear question when we think about what we use our equipment for. Someone who I respect is growing for year on year is Chris Botti. I was into Chris when I first heard about him, but what has become apparent in his work ethos and everything, and his ability is his equipment stays the same. His equipment hasn't changed for years. I believe he plays a vintage large Martin Committee. Couldn't tell you what mouthpiece it is. It might be again a standard like a Bob Reeves or something. I really can't remember, but his ethos is like, get to know your equipment, get inside it, and that's a very important thing. And if that would have been my case, then I would still be on a back 37, which was my original instrument that I wish I'd never sold. I've got a fantastic back 37 now, but in terms of all those minutiae in the detail that we find as brass players, you know, I'm fine with changing gear, etc. I love using my back Strad because it's got such a beautiful sound from the 25 gold brass bell, and the way I've got it set up is really nice. It's very versatile. And the dilemma that I have now is, what am I going to do with a B1? Can I afford to have two essential lead instruments and a B instrument in the Strad? I don't know. Maybe I can just now. The other thing about the X3 that's really nice, and I've not really had this in many instruments, is the ability for it to cross over genres. So I'll do something. I know. I mean, it's like, we just heard it blow over 2 octaves on the lead setup. If I go over to what I consider a darker setup, so if I go back to my large back bore and I put in my not quite lead mouthpiece, which is the same rim. It's called an MSD. It's probably somewhere around about, I wouldn't say quite as deep as a Bach C cup, probably around about a Bach D cup or that type of thing. And I used a large back bore on it. The X3 takes on a whole other charm. One of the, I wouldn't say, well, maybe it is an issue. What I couldn't really get a hold on to with the B1 sometimes was I couldn't really be expressive in it as a solo instrument. And already now I used this in a gig on Monday, playing third trumpet. Felt like a beautiful blend in the section, the X3 that is, with my standard lead setup. And on Wednesday night, I had a pretty heavy function, just another function with a wedding band and everything else. And instantly I felt as though I could just really, really get into the horn. So I'm going to wrap this part of the video up just now. And excuse me for scratching my nose. The studio's freezing. I keep feeling so kind of got rid of my nose. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this part of the video up now with the X3 in saying that we might do some more comparisons. We've not really done any big brash type, blowing type things, etc. And it's not had really a service or a clean. It pretty much came out the post on Monday. I oiled the valves. I gave it a little polish just to see how well the silver was holding up, and for getting on for 30 years old, it's not bad. You know, I quite like the Schilke silver finish. The gold in the B1, which is a lot newer. It's actually wearing quite a lot already, but again, that's been used extensively for the past 6 years of my ownership. And I'll be sending the instrument off to Bryce Ferguson as usual for a full overhaul, alignment. There's a couple of little dents on it here and there. But yeah, it's an absolutely fantastic horn. So what else are we going to do in this video? In this video, I'm going to talk about what I want to try and do for next year. By being so busy with teaching, gigs, yeah, really pushing for gigs, etc. What I want to try and do is a video a month, a proper video a month, not quite in the in-depth nature of Maggio, but certainly reviewing and deep diving into some more studies out there. We've already done Maggio, like I said. We've had a little go at integrated warm-up. We've had a look at some aspects of Flexus as well. What I would like to do with Flexus is look into some of the later exercises in Flexus. It's such an expansive work that I've never really seen anything in there with anyone really talking about it. And I think if you're looking for a one-stop place to go for new and different varied material, then along with the like of Scott's Belk work as well, I would really like to draw some of the stuff out of Flexus. There's also, there's so much out there. So trying to get one long form video in a month. So I'm also open for any suggestions. If there's anything you want me to try and look into as well. I've got a few other books up there that you may or may not have heard of that I think would be worth diving into also. What else? Improvising. Yeah. Really trying to get on top of some improvising again this year and looking at the concepts that Jared Presenter shared with me, as much as technique, but the crossover between technique and improvising. For long enough I've focused probably too heavily on technique. We're going to go into including some of the long form videos that we've done into improvising as well, and seeing how I can share my journey with some aspects of improvising. Specifically what I'm talking about is building the shape and form of a solo, technically proficient solos. So by that, yeah, we might mean range, we might mean finger dexterity. There's a solo or a part of a tune from the band Triple in the UK that I tried to work on a long time ago when I first came in here. Never got it. I feel as though my chops and ability in playing and an all-round technical ability are of a higher level now, so we might do a deep dive into that. So this is what I'm thinking. Rather than trying to like squeeze in videos here and everything else, I'm going to try and set a day, a month, just to share stuff with you folks. I've had some fantastic comments on really old videos as well. Maggio warm-up A and lesson 1 video is still one of the highest watched videos on my channel, so I might redo some of those videos as well, just since I've got a slightly better setup now, etc. So I'm going to get out of here. This video is getting on for 30 minutes long, so how's about we have a little play on both these instruments? I'm going to flip between setups, so I'm going to go large back bore, and what we set up for medium back bore and lead top, and we're going to do that on the X3 first of all. We'll maybe try and think about something to play that I can just flip between the two instruments, and let me know what you think in the comments about both their sounds, etc. Okay, so this is a little bit more X3 B1 comparison. The X3 is going to be on the lead cup with the M back bore, and the B1 is going to be in the lead cup with the large back bore. Here we go. Anyway, enough of that. You can hear my fans going as well, maybe down here as well. So I'm going to try and get, excuse me. So I'm going to try and get another little video out here, just for our new year. And yeah, we'll get this edited and get it up. So it's been a while, folks, and looking forward to getting some interesting content going very soon. As always, stay safe, stay smart, and I will see you soon. Cheers now. Bye-bye.